Let's report. We'll start with a roll call. Jenny?
Here.
Kelsey?
Here.
Merle? Here. Richard? Second call for Richard. Heidi? Here. Heidi, are you there? Crystal?
Here.
Go back to Heidi. Heidi, you wanna chime in, make sure you're there?
She might be off too. Or away from.
Anyway, chair's here, so we do have a quorum. I guess we'll go ahead and start out then, so. If you guys would join me in flag salute and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
from everybody, we got a good crowd here tonight, so welcome if you have not been here. And to those of you returning, we appreciate you guys spending your Monday evening with us, so. If everybody's had a chance to look over the agenda, I would entertain a motion to move forward with it as presented.
I'll make a motion that we accept the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Have a motion in a second, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And we will move forward with that. Agenda is presented. Public comments. I didn't reach out to Diane today, so I don't know, do we have public comments?
No one signed up.
Okay,
I'm just gonna chime in and say Heidi can hear us and she says she is here, but she's having some technical difficulties that we're working on.
okay, good.
On unmuted, but she can hear us. yes.
She can hear us.
Yeah.
All right, so one D. Public comments going once or twice. I guess we will move on then. Board communication. I will probably turn it over to you. Because it looks like we're, from what I understand, we have something planned, so.
Well, I don't know if you know this. But the room right now is gushing with appreciation for, you know, some of the most outstanding volunteers that we have a chance to work with. And I'd like to kick this off. We'll give some folks a chance to share their appreciation and how their students, your students at school have shared that appreciation. But I'd like to start by reading the governor's proclamation around school board recognition. So, whereas Oregonians rely on public education to ensure a prosperous quality of life and strong economic health for Oregon. And whereas locally elected boards fulfill leadership roles and serve as the conduit through which teachers, parents, businesses, and communities demonstrate the care, creativity, and support that lead to student achievement. And public schools nurture and train diverse student populations to the best of their ability, whatever the resources, to give students the knowledge, skills, and opportunities they need to succeed. And whereas board members build the framework that makes it possible for education organizations to teach Oregon's children. And whereas we thank the committed community members who serve on the boards of Oregon's 197 school districts, 19 ESDs, and 17 community colleges for their dedication to the educational needs of Oregonians. Now therefore, I, Tina Kotek, Governor of the state of Oregon, hereby proclaim January 2024 to be School Board Recognition Month in Oregon and encourage all Oregonians to join in their observance. So, thank you, congratulations. That's the governor's proclamation, and the proclamations you're about to hear, I think, are even, stronger. Because we know where they're coming from. So, we have some, there's a couple of ways to do it. Students, did you want to go ahead and share your,
Sure.
recognition
We can set up
with the
there.
school board? Mhm.
Our high school AC has sent the week quick and a little flower bouquets to everyone, as well as hand signed cards to our team, which we can go ahead and pass out now.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
They're not in order.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, okay, online, okay.
And you the cards? It is.
Thank you, just like Christmas in January.
That's it right now. Thank you.
So just wondering if we could get a quick photo with students, in the background behind the board, and board members, you might have to stand up and kind of come together over here. Okay. Go ahead. All right, 1, 2, 3. Get you off live here, and 1, 2, 3. Gotcha, thank you very much.
Wait. I just didn't want to go back. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the students. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Like
Yep.
also introduce our, that's Eric, he has something there.
So for the board, I prepared a little dessert snack up there. It's a sopapilla cheesecake bar. Sopapillas are a traditional Mexican dessert. Usually it's dough that's deep fried, tossed in cinnamon sugar. So this has puff pastry on the bottom, the cheesecake middle, more puff pastry on top, and then a bunch of low-fat butter and cinnamon sugar baked off in the oven. So it's really crispy and like kind of elephant ear on top with that gooey cheesecake middle. So,
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll just tell you, my son informed me that you're a better cook than I am. I was like, well, I think that's a compliment.
Dr. Eric, would you like to share?
Yes, so our students, our leadership class, and a few other classes made the fun back of you, your hard work helped them to read this class. And then, on your desk, there is our staff shirt this year. And hopefully if it's not a size that is, we can switch it up. And we taught ourselves how to make different ones on our Cricut so that we could be in business for ourselves now. And then, I also, our art class, made some art cards for you. So they're the note cards that, I'm sure you have a lot of correspondence that you need to do. And so they're examples of our middle school art. And so we're super grateful, to me in education, all the service that happens to school boards, y'all make a big difference in everybody in this room's lives, and I know it's long, and we're super grateful. So hopefully enjoy the shirt, and if you need a different size, just get back to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, elected officials are always loved by everyone all the time. And just in case they're not, what we wanted to say from the Wolf Pups at the intermediate school is thank you. So we tried to brighten up the room a little bit, just to bring some color into your life. And just so you know, those third, fourth, and fifth graders love and appreciate you. And I know the staff also appreciates all that you do. Really it is a job that doesn't go with enough thanks. And so we do, just from the deepest part of our hearts, say thank you to each of you for your volunteer service. Thank you.
And Kimberly Jordan, was ill today, not here, but you can see in some of the, finest 5-year-old writing. The names of all the students who had a chance to sign the thank you poster. The students from the primary school, so they had a lot of fun doing that, they were very proud of that, very proud of that. Yeah, so cute. And now Lori, that was the,
That was from our department.
that's what I had, yeah.
All of our school chefs wanted to say that we appreciate you and thank you very much for all that you do for us.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you.
So cute. That's awesome, it really is.
Yeah, it is. I'm definitely not crazy at all, so.
And at the central office, we prepared the gift bag for you, and we welcome you to take a look inside. We wanted to share, there are a couple of things in here that we just wanted to make a comment about. First of all, there's a journal in there. Why don't you take a look at the journal that we included in that.
You don't like it. I wrapped them tight.
So, we are about celebrating what's right and looking for what's right and celebrating what's right while we're working really hard. So it's an I'm grateful for journey. And some of the things that we know is that oftentimes giving thanks and showing gratitude, is actually really nice for the people giving and thanks and showing gratitude because it makes us feel better too, to be able to appreciate folks that are supporting them. So we wanted you to give you the gift, of thinking about gratitude. And it's a guided journal, and it helps you to just kind of think about some of the thoughts that make you feel better, knowing, what challenging roles you play in terms of supporting the community. And the little article that's rolled up is because Crystal is always asking for data. And so this was an article, this was an article we used when we, at one of our presentations, during our in-service week, and it's how gratitude changes your brain and improves your life. And it's the science.
It is true.
It's the science behind gratitude. So we wanted to have a data-driven idea. And we did that tonight. And we also had some, we chose the gum quite purposely, the extra, to appreciate all of the extra things that you do for the business. So, yeah, so thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. All right, that's the appreciation.
I feel well loved.
Yes, thank you very much. We really appreciate it, and we really appreciate all of you and all that you work with.
Oh, yeah.
On a continuous basis. Keep our kids learning and moving ahead, so. And on behalf of me, I would like to say thank you to the other board members for your dedication, your willingness to serve, your willingness to learn. And all that comes with it, because it's a new experience every day.
Sure. Right, we have a new Director of Safety and Security.
We certainly do. Yeah, it's a pleasure for us to introduce Wes Owens, our new Director of Safety and Security. So I'll just say, we were sad to see Mitch moving on. He's already in our lives because he does the job and the work that he's doing at the Department of Education and Emergency Management. And we got that position posted just before we left for the winter break. And all of a sudden, the angels were looking out for us. I got a note from Wes, said, hey, I'm looking at moving back to the area from Sherman County, where he was retiring as a superintendent. That also, as the superintendent, he was very involved in organizing the regional, emergency management systems and safety and security, and he's been an advisor in those worlds as well as a leader in that for the regions that he has supported. Long history in education, and so we know it's really hard to sometimes get that balance between educational experience and experience in safety and security. And we just couldn't be feeling luckier and more grateful than to have Wes reach out, share his appreciation for rural communities and rural schools, and bring his expertise and as you get to know him, just his demeanor and his thoughtfulness in the way that he does his work. So we're really happy to have Wes with us. And Wes, I promised you I'd give you a chance.
Well, first off, thank you, Dr. Rose. To the board of directors, Dr. Rose, for giving me the opportunity to work. I'm very excited to join the team, and thank you for your service to this school community. We know how difficult that is and the work that you do, so thank you. This community has been so welcoming, the students, the staff. I've had an opportunity to meet many of them. I've had an opportunity to meet all of the building leadership one-on-one, just to kind of get a better feel for the district. And so I'll be doing that more and more as the days. It's only been about 6 days now. So I'm trying to get up to speed on systems and so forth. But I will say, being around education for many years in rural communities, this is a very special place. And I'm very excited to be here and help support any way I can our staff and our administration and the students. It's a very special place. And just from the first day that I met Dr. Rose and the staff, it's been great ever since. And I'm really looking forward to doing whatever I can to support the school community. So
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Welcome aboard.
I had a chance to meet Wes's dad at a basketball game the other night, and he's a little older than me. Absolutely sharp as a tack, and because of the connections that he had, kind of coaching and involved in this area, he was talking about coaching and playing with guys that were like my coaches when I was in high school. Oh, really? So a bunch of folks from Woodburn and those types of things, so.
Yeah, and with that, if you don't mind, just my family has been very involved in education. All my sisters are in education, principals. My mother was a teacher, my father was a teacher. So I do bring a K-12 or actually pre-K-12 lens to the work that I will be doing here. And so it's nice to be involved in the school community. Again, I've only been out for about 4 months. 4 months before I said, I gotta get back in there. And I think the thing I missed the most was relationships and working with students. So it's been great to be back doing that. So.
On a side note, I will note that I came out to meet with Bill on, I think, Wednesday. As we were coming back into school, having a couple extra day or an extra day off.
Thursday, yeah.
With a Thursday, and we had a late start, and here are these two out shoveling the parking lot to get the ice off there, to clear ways for the kids to go, so trial by fire coming into the district. But welcome aboard. All right, we have high school ASB representatives, I believe,
Yes.
if you guys wanna come forward.
Unfortunately, Kenley is sick, so it's just me and Peter today, from the students. Hopefully we do her justice.
Just let me, hold you for a second. So I'll just note for the record, we have, Richard. Richard, do you want to chime in?
Yep, thank you. Evening, everybody. Apologize for not being there in person. My plane got in a little bit late this afternoon, so appreciate you letting me join online.
Awesome, thanks, Richard, for being there. And then Heidi, do we have you where you can communicate now with us or no?
Yeah, I think I'm on here twice. So I have redundant backup systems, so I'm good to go. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks, Heidi. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
Oh, you're
please go
totally
ahead,
fine.
so.
It's just the normal little club update over high school clubs and organizations. And we'll kick it off with ASB. We have been very busy gearing up for winter formal dance this week with our court, and the dance is Saturday evening. And the theme will be Northern Lights, so hopefully it'll be a fun little I think it should be actually, the decor looks really good and I'm really excited for it. The court assembly this Friday will announce the crown prince and all of the voting that happened, and the assembly is at 1:06 if any of you guys are interested in popping in and seeing the court get decided. We will additionally be handing out the student of the term because the assembly got delayed to the ice and all of the stuff that happened. So student of the term will be handed out during advisory classes next Tuesday, as well as the dares that got unfortunately completed for our fundraising event before break happens for holiday home month.
Okay, for Key Club, in December, they were busy helping with Love Santa, the holiday store, and they raised money for a Holiday Hope Week, by making some candygrams. They have a campus cleanup scheduled for January. Additionally, they received news of $1,000 donation from Kiwanis to offset the cost of several students to attend the March district convention.
It's great news. As FBLA, they unfortunately do not have any meetings during December because of short days and finals and all that. But all their students who are interested registered for regionals, which will take place on January 27th at the Canby High School. So everyone is kind of currently preparing for that and all the tests and competitions that come with it. We will be continuing Big Brother Big Sister, and their next meeting for that is the 19th, I believe.
For FFA, they had their monthly meeting on the 8th and have another one with a pizza party this Thursday. There's also an ag trip to California in February that some students have applied for and will be attending.
Metra is hosting a babysitting night for children this month as migrant parents attend a meeting at the school. And the ballet folklorico dancers are continuing to practice, and I'm very excited for that show. I think it'll be great.
NHS has started their homework help lab, and it started today. They're working hard to fill all open appointments slots for February 8th during the blood drive.
Yes, and then I think we might have mentioned this before, but if any of you guys are interested in donating, just reach out to me or Kenley or Ms. McClintock at the high school. We're always looking for more donators for that. So it'll take place February 8th during the school day. Just a little heads up. And Skills USA has a meeting or have been meeting to practice their skills for upcoming competition. They've been very busy with that.
Yes, and robotics, they have a tournament at OIT this Saturday in Wilsonville and in Wilsonville this Friday. We wish them the best of luck.
NAHS Yearbook and Awesome, all ran by Miss Bailey, are all taking a much needed break to gear up for what is to come. They're gonna be very busy photographing winter formal, photographing prom, getting the yearbooks finished, so kind of taking a little rest time to gear up for that.
Drama, they haven't been up to much due to the loss of the director still. However, they have decided to work on a special project and are gonna see if they can write their own original play. Details soon to come on their creation.
And finally, for prom, the prom committee has been busy, very busy fundraising with a recent bottle drive that was on Saturday and an event in February for a parents' night out. The date for prom is still set for May 18th, and we recently sealed the deal on a venue close by. So good progress being made with that. And that finishes it for the little update of all the clubs. Everyone's going good though. Okay.
Thanks. Any questions for anybody? Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Appreciate you coming out. All right, next up we have UNME leadership team, Darla and Jenna.
And we have more appreciation for this, so it's not all over.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Ooh, I do love that highlighter.
Yes, oh yeah.
I have a little highlighter addiction.
So many more in my room, if you need more.
I'm like, ooh. Fun that funky, right? The highlighter.
Yeah, it's like. It's highlighter. Hi, thank you, welcome back. It feels like we haven't been in school for quite some time, so, thank you to all of you for serving all of us wonderful staff and students, but you guys have done an amazing job, so, thank you, and the goodie bags kind of show a little bit of our appreciation. I'm Jana, this is Darla, Teresa Primary School, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, Darla Boswell. I work in primary school to second grade. I'm one of our building reps. Along with Emily Miller.
She's also a parent of
Yeah.
a student here.
Yeah, I'm an 8th grader.
Yeah, I did not make slides for you because it's been kind of a crazy time, so sorry about no slides, but I did make sticky notes, so that's what you can hear. So starting with the thank you, and then we did want to give a shout out to Chelsea Landry. She applied for and received an OEA grant, and so she was able to receive money to help fund books for middle school kids. Which is awesome. She's actually like the only one that applied and got it in our Mid-Valley area. So we're really excited for her. Yeah, it was wonderful. And then we wanted to give a shout out to the district for being so proactive with everything that was going on. The ice storm was kind of crazy, especially like more up north. And then as you got down, it like started to warm up, but we just felt cared for, if that makes sense, by Dr. Rose and Des, and just the communication that we received. So that was definitely a positive for us. Thank you for caring about our safety. It's because most of us don't live in the area, so it was hard to know what was gonna happen. But we just felt like no matter what, we knew where we were gonna be the next day. So thank you. Yeah.
And I just want to share a couple of positive things going on with primary school. And I heard from our foundation's teachers today at lunch that by the end of the week, they should be fully staffed. They've hired some new instructional assistants. And so that's exciting because that's a classroom that we definitely need to have full staffing in. And then another positive thing that's happening in our building right now is some of us are participating in a math pilot. So we have, back in November, we piloted a curriculum called STEM Scopes, and then now here in January, we're doing Bridges in Mathematics, and we are very excited about what we're gonna have for next year, having something that's more hands-on, exploratory, building number sense, and really looking at this, our new materials that we're gonna have through the lens of the habits of the math habits of mind and math habits of interaction. And which of those curriculum our materials is going to best meet the needs of our students, and definitely looking forward to having something that's much more appropriate for our younger learners than what we currently have.
Yeah. And then with that, one more thing about being proactive, we're already starting conversations around the calendar for next year. So that feels so good to start those conversations in January. So it's just been a year of thinking ahead, how do I say it, getting more prepared. So yeah. Any questions? Cool, it's great to see you.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we need to acknowledge an extended overnight field trip to the FFA State Convention in Redmond on March 21st through the 24th. 2024, sorry to be here, I'm gonna put on the spot, you know how many are going? For an idea.
End of this year.
Oh, good, so it's a good representation.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, ODE state education update, no SBA updates?
I'll get that.
Okay. So we'll move past that. Also wanted to mention budget committee vacancies. We still have 3 remaining. So please, if you know somebody who is willing to serve on that. It's important work. And it gives us, when we have a full complement, it's just that many more eyes on the process. So, full representation is better. We can do with, we don't have a full committee, but it's better if we do. Plus it's a good stepping point to move on to, more volunteerism at the school.
Elected office.
Yeah. Anyway, we have those vacancies and we have the paperwork. I think just need to reach out to Diane, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
and it is on the board, on the website.
Okay. All right, moving on to number 3, our consent agenda. If you guys have had a chance to look at that, I would entertain a motion.
The motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I was curious about the category confidential.
Confidential employees, you want to go ahead?
Yeah,
Give the synopsis of that?
So we have basically 4 groups. We have the licensed and we have the classified, we have administrators and we have confidential. It includes HR, payroll, myself, Lori Gamboa, the maintenance director, safety and security. Greg is one, and I feel like there's one more. That's, me. So we're not unionized, but we're considered a different category. Sometimes they call it non-represented or confidential.
Okay. So they're non-representative by general or any others. Just a unique category that you label confidential.
Yes.
Doesn't mean it's off the record.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
But they do have access to certain types of information that, that's absolutely confidential. That's confidential information, yeah.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing and we'll move to a vote on that motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
For Richard, but I don't know if he wants to vote.
Yep, I said aye. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Richard. That motion, sorry. Anybody opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Business and budget appropriations. I don't know if you have much you want to share with us tonight or.
Not much yet. It's coming. So, you can see from my summary, our taxes are coming in a little bit higher than I thought they would, but they did this last year too, and then they leveled off. So we'll be about right, I think, in what we estimated for our taxes to come in.
Any other activity on capital, or not capital, but, building permits? You usually get a report on that, kind of ahead of it.
Well, we did finish the HVAC system at the intermediate school. The staff room is done now or not? I think it's the only one not done. They were gonna come and do everything on Monday of the storm, when we had no school. And that didn't work out for them, so they're trying to reschedule all of their work to get back to finish that. So they have a punch list of things, but for the most part, we're finished with that. So
Great. Anybody have questions for Linda? No? All right, thank you very much.
You gotta get that.
This must have been do we have? Appointments to, we don't have anybody to appoint yet on budget, that's what I thought. All right, so we'll move on to Desiree with the early literacy grant.
Yes.
And welcome.
Thank you. So I am not gonna go into deep depth on this, but I did present to you what we shared with the Oregon Department of Education. I want to give you a little information about what the Oregon Literacy Success Grant is. So essentially this is a bill, was it a bill or is it appropriation from the state?
It's an initiative, a government.
A governor's initiative. I was gonna say, I don't think this was like an actual bill that was passed. It's a governor's initiative to create a series of grants to help schools and communities improve early literacy. And we are presenting today to share a little information about it, talk about what we're planning on doing with our funds, and then it needs to be approved by the board so that we can tell ODE that you approved our efforts. So, next slide. Just to clarify, this grant has been submitted, so what you're approving is already in ODZ's hands because they required it be due prior to our board meeting, but also not in time for our last board meeting, so we kind of like missed a window, but ODE gives us a pass on that. We just have to submit board approval by February 15th. I want to start too by extending a big thank you on the next slide to the literacy grant team. They were really vital in helping us shape both the grant as well as what we're going to do moving forward. That team is going to continue meeting over the next few months as we create a plan for really how to best use these funds to support students. So for this year, we're getting about $126,000, and it's will be released to us fairly soon. And then next year's allocation is about $132,000. So the grant required us to do a quick program overview to really look at how we were currently serving students with early literacy, and specifically looking at things like how we are working to foster communication and build family relations and really approach early literacy within our schools. It also asks us to really think about core practices within our literacy framework. That includes a focus on oral language, the use of reading models that are based in research, building foundational skills to really make sure students have a solid foundation moving through the early grades, looking at sound assessment practices, and really a commitment to equity to ensure that all students leave literate by the second grade is our goal. So the other component is that we had to have a research-based curriculum that was aligned to the science of reading. We're lucky, the team that did our ELA adoption several years ago were really focused on that, led by Meredith Atkin, and they chose the Amplify, which is solidly aligned to the science of reading and is really already showing great results. So from here, we have to start thinking about different components of our plan. And one of the other requirements of this grant is that we have to have a sound assessment system that we can use to measure student growth. We have some of those assessment systems that are built into our curriculum, but we will be adding one additional one this next year, which is the STAR reading assessments. And STAR is one that a lot of districts are currently using just because it is quick. It gives us a really good amount of information and data on students and will help us use that information to better assess the way to meet their specific needs. And then finally, we have to develop a system to support professional development for staff and make sure that they have the support they need to really reach students. And the science of reading is hard. It's the concepts are difficult. And I tell people all the time, I have a degree in literature and could not do what our elementary school teachers do. Teaching kids how to read and being a good reader are two very different sets of skills. And so the amazing teachers we have already are really centered on a lot of good practices, but we know that the better we can help build their skill base in what are good early literacy strategies, the better we're going to be able to reach students. So, yeah, this is a complicated guide. one more piece. The other piece is how we do extended learning programs. And that can be a number of different things, summer school, for example, after school programs, et cetera. And so we'll be looking at how we want to kind of grow what we currently do through like our Jumpstart to Kindergarten, et cetera, and see how we can potentially expand that to reach more students who are our striving readers who maybe need additional support. And then finally, it's built on a foundation of high dosage tutoring. High dosage tutoring is defined by the grant as being very small group tutoring, 1-to-1, no more than groups of 5, who get really specific information given to those tutors so that they can get really specific with the skills they're working on kids. So rather than just kind of guessing at what they might really need, it's about using the assessment data to really pinpoint what skill is the student missing and then giving really explicit instruction around that skill. So with that, we are building a budget to really support that work moving forward. And our budget is outlined as follows. For year one, because we're getting the amount of money we're getting midway through the year, we're doing a few big things with it. One is we're purchasing that STAR assessment system that is required by the grant. 2, we're looking at intervention tools that support our current curriculum. So they're well aligned and kids don't feel like they learn one thing in class and then they get interventions that go in a different direction. And then we are looking to hire 3 classified staff who can help with the high dosage tutoring during our intervention time. And then the other component of the grant is that we have to do matching funds up to 25%. We can use any kind of pool of funds to do that matching. So we're going to be pulling in our Title I funds with our instructional coach. And so that's how we will match the grant. And that instructional coach will be focused on supporting reading. Currently that role is filled by Kimberly Rhodes. And then year two, because it will be a full year, we will be hiring those 3 classified staff and that will use up the entire grant. Is that it? All right. Okay.
Any questions?
I do have one question.
Yeah.
So the 3 classified staff that you're hiring the first year are gonna be the same the second year, so you're not hiring a total of 6?
That's true.
3 and
Yes,
3.
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Have you and business manager evaluated how much will need to come from the budget outside of the grant and the Title I matching funds?
The Title I matching is already being spent on the instructional coach, so no additional change to the budget. It's more about how we're reallocating her role and having it really focus on literacy, which she actually did a lot of support of already. So there's no kind of budgetary impacts in those ways. Yeah, so no budget impacts at all.
The grant will cover the additional hires and.
The 3 hires are a little bit over the grant, but we believe we'll have some rollover from year 1 that should be enough to cover any additional costs of the 3 hires in year 2.
I just have one more quick question, if not know. Do you foresee this to be a renewing grant in the future, or is this like 2 years and done?
Our hope is that it's renewing from what we're understanding about the governor's initiative and the fact that I know that when it was up for consideration, there was a lot of discussion at the state level about where the funding should come from and that it became a part of the budget versus taking from other pools of money that might not be as stable.
Perfect.
That's what there's no guarantee of, but it
Right.
might rob Peter to pay Paul.
Right, absolutely.
I was gonna say, in year 3, it may be.
If it doesn't renew after 2 years, then is Mrs. Rhodes' position then gone because it's changed along with the 3 new hires?
The one in Title I wouldn't change. We would just have more flexibility as to how we have her, what role she plays. The potential of the 3 classified I'm looking at Dr. Rose, there would be a potential if those funds went completely away, that you would have to think about how that budget impacts, because they would need to either shift to a different budgetary stream or something along those lines.
We just would definitely, once we put some systems in place, we would need to have strategies to keep those systems going. We wouldn't want to abandon the strategy.
Absolutely.
So you would adjust the budget in some manner to cover the ongoing funding of those positions.
Yeah, if it needed.
And we're hoping the grant continues.
Yeah, I think, the department right now, knows that many districts are going to be hurting in the next couple of years because our ESSER funds are running out. So they're very well aware of the danger of providing one-time funding or short-term funding to start programs and then pulling it away. That's, I know that the governor is aware that that's not a practice that is helpful and that she wouldn't want that to happen.
This may be.
So you do change governors.
This may be more logistical for Linda, so will this be built into the larger budget next year or next? Okay. So, but this year it's not built in currently, or do you have it already built in?
No, not
In anticipation, that piece is not in, okay, so that will be additional to.
Remember, we allocate all special revenue funds as one bucket, so
Yeah.
if we didn't get as much over here and we get this one in, we'll probably be just fine.
Sure.
Right.
Alrighty.
Do we need to vote on this?
One thing I would say, just to, again, reiterate, thank you, this team. This is a challenging grant to develop and administer. And the reason that the department wanted it early, because they were afraid people weren't gonna do it. They wanted to know how many people were actually going to apply, so they would know how to distribute the funds and those things. So this team did just fantastic work, with no complaining at all. In terms of getting that done and getting it in, so.
Yeah,
Really
first
cool.
time I've ever gotten a call from ODE that's like, you're going to submit, right? And it's like, yeah, just get off the phone. I'm typing as it speaks. Yeah, and I'll echo what Dr. Rhodes said, the level. I think the best way to put it is one of our first meetings, the team, I said to them, like, the answers to our solutions to serve students live in this room. Like, the knowledge base of the team that was assembled was so incredible. Their passion for this work, because the team I'm drawing on are people who volunteer for every committee and they're on leadership and they're in everything. And the fact that they were like, this is so important to us, we're willing to give more time. And that their work isn't done. It wasn't write the grant and then off back to the classroom. They're now recommitting. We're gonna be planning a full day work in a couple weeks, hopefully February 2nd is what we're shooting for, that will start, because we now have to take those structures that are built into the grant and we have to say, well, what does that actually look like for us? What does high dosage tutoring look like? What does extended learning look like? So thinking about the actual programs, the systems that have to be built to support those, the training that needs to be put into place, that's where the heavy lifting, the grant actually is the easier part. It was filling in and answering the questions, but this point forward is really about doing the work. And I heard it said that literacy is a civil right. And so these people on our team are civil rights activists. They're making sure kids get that access and that we're removing any barriers that our system might currently have to making sure all kids can read. I'm excited for the work. And yes, it needs to be approved.
Yeah, so if there's no more questions, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the early literacy grant as presented.
Second. I have a motion in a second. I don't know who was second. Was it?
Which one do you want, claim it?
Kelsey. Any discussion on the motion before us? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? That motion carries. Thank you very much for leading. All right, moving on to Superintendent District Operations Report. Dr. Rhodes has some things to share with us. And yeah.
Is it possible to get that bigger on the screen? Is it in a PDF? Better, you have one slide at a time, but that's okay. Anyway. Did you notice it's national award recognition? And so you capture the front slide, in terms of leading our mission forward. Learning together to cultivate lifelong growth, and hopefully you're seeing outstanding examples of that right now. Is that an idea? No?
Well, it doesn't, it shows there, but it's not coming on.
Oh, it's.
There it is.
Okay. Lots of opportunities to see the mission and vision in action. I will absolutely, kind of share the excitement that folks have been sharing about the work that our teachers are doing. If you can get that all the way up there. Lots of examples of our engagement across the district and across the community. What you're seeing in these photos are some learning walks. So our principals have been hosting other principals and other leaders and coaches, even Jana, on some learning walks in terms of moving into those classrooms and looking for those habits that Darla was talking about, seeing, trying to find those habits in action and make sure that we can learn how to give feedback to our staff about what we see and celebrating that. You see a little a debrief down in the corner. You might just move that up just a little further. A debrief down in the corner of a team that had just been in a classroom, making some observations, and then just stepping out in the hall at the intermediate school and debriefing those things that we saw in those classrooms. Let me keep you on that one. This week, our coaches from Teachers Development Group are here. They spent the afternoon with the leadership team, helping us learn, how to go into classrooms, helping us learn how to spot the habits and the practices in action, and helping us learn how to give meaningful feedback to teachers. So the leadership team is involved in being coached, about how to lead that, as well as teachers are working at implementing those habits in your classroom. So, like I said, I wish you all could just kind of get to follow us around someday and go into these classrooms. We were in 5th grade classrooms the week before the storm, and we were in 2nd grade classrooms on Friday, and it's just impressive and inspirational to catch our teachers and kids in action doing that work. So it really is an inspiration, and it makes us all proud. We'll have our coaches working on coaching for a couple of days tomorrow, and then this is all in mathematics. Again, around that, communities engaged and unified, tomorrow with help from Irma and Cheryl, and actually leadership from Irma and Cheryl in participating with some of our community partners. Our service integration team, our services team, is having a resource fair tomorrow all day. And many of our service team members are giving short presentations about services that are available amongst our organizations, within the community. So led by Cheryl and Irma, the school district will be sharing a presentation at 10 or 10:20. Remember, it starts at 9,
Where's the location?
It's at it's on the flyer
County
there.
Health and Human Services.
Oh, it's about actual play. Okay.
Yeah. And so it should be a nice day and nice for that team that usually meets once a month to get together and spend the day together and hear a little deeper presentations about what services and resources are available. Also, Stacy, and I, would be happy for Stacy to give a plug if she'd like to. She has been, holding, monthly, community listening sessions at the middle school. And Thursday night, is the January session. As we mentioned, this is one, where we have an opportunity to talk about social media and the impact of social media. And on adults and students, in our systems and how those interact. So looking forward to the opportunity to share. Did you wanna?
It's at 7 p.m. I invited, school board members, thank you. We're pretty excited about it. Lindsay and I have been working on the presentation, kind of talking a little bit about the data around it, some of the research that helps support, hopefully families and schools together to kind of work on helping our students develop healthy, habits around things such as social media and its impact on our society. So, childcare, there will be childcare there, and also, interpretation services. And it's at 7, and we usually record them, and we haven't posted them yet, but we want to be able to make sure that people can still kind of get a part of that. And we put it out on some of the social media feeds. Yes, I said that. Wait, I don't know, Parent Square is that social media, that's probably not, so. But I've sent out Parent Square.
Good, thanks, Stacy.
Locals.
As I mentioned, I have a meeting with Oregon Association of School Executives, on Thursday afternoon. And that's where we'll actually sort of get the kind of where everything is right now in terms of what they're anticipating, in the short session of the legislature, which starts on February 5th. So it's right there, it's right around the corner. Have a pretty good idea about what bills are going to be introduced. It's a short session. So, they can't have several thousand bills like they usually do in a long session, and things go pretty fast. So as we were, mentioning last week, go ahead and go to the next slide. The governor's initiatives will probably have a high priority during that session. And in terms of education, that's why I said one of the things they were hoping was to try to make the early literacy grant a little more easier to administer for schools and school districts. Look at trying to get funding back for some of our inclusive services, trying to get some funding back for summer learning. There isn't a lot of hope for huge, isn't a lot of opportunity to make a lot of change in a lot of education initiatives in this short period of time. So we're hoping to get some short gains in the short session, in hopes of growing that in the longer session. I did want to talk just a little bit about weather and school. Because it was a really interesting week. In terms of our needs and how we needed to work together and communicate. Go to the next slide and we'll come back to this one.
Okay.
There are all kinds of different scenarios. But on Friday, we had an early release, based on a forecast and wanted to get folks home safe and such. On Tuesday, we had a regular school was canceled because of the storm. On Wednesday, we had a late start change to a cancellation. And then on Thursday, we had the 2-hour delay at the late start. So, there was a slightly different scenario in every one of those days. And so folks know, this was, Janice said, thanks, Dr. Rhodes. Let me tell you, this is a huge team effort. In terms of, causing all those things to happen and being able to make those calls. And so, folks we get notifications from the National Weather Service and sometimes PPE about forecasts. So we get some heads up about what's being predicted and we start paying attention to it. Our transportation supervisors are also looking at the same information, and we use the National Weather Service, so we're all actually looking at the same forecast, not Channel 6, Channel 8, Channel 2, but we're all looking at, at the same resource. transportation supervisors are actually networking with other transportation supervisors in the area. So they get kind of a broader sense, of how the region is responding to the weather and the forecast and what might be happening or may be about to happen. Fridays, let's go home, was influenced by, a lot of the network of transportation supervisors thinking about what may or may not be possible. And also a little bit of experience that they had, years ago when they didn't get home, in the way that they wanted to. I am connected with 6 or 8 superintendents in the area, and we start talking with each other well in advance, of the actual event, and then all the way through the event. Oftentimes trying to make sure that when we communicate, we make that communication at the same time, so that different communities, don't hear about their community, and then people in St. Paul are saying, hey, North Marion closed, what are we gonna, those kinds of things. So we really try to coordinate that, because it makes it easier for all of our communication systems, because if we start getting calls or emails and texts like that, that's just more to handle when we're trying to deal with the weather emergency. I say drive-throughs, we actually have, our transportation systems are out driving the roads. And they have places that they know that they need to check because they may be particularly risky in certain areas. So I drive as many of the neighborhoods and such as I can, while I'm also trying to tend to getting the communication system started, so that I have, in essence, a firsthand kind of feel for, what the weather is and what the roads are like in the community. And then we're also communicating with our maintenance and custodial folks. We need to know whether the grounds and the facilities are actually accessible. So like in this case, in this storm, for many school districts, the roads cleared, but the parking lots and the sidewalks and those areas in the schools were not accessible. And, most of us that live here, we don't have big plows and shovels and those types of things, because, the events are so rare. But then once we kind of have figured out how we're gonna make that call, then this really nice communication system goes in. And Diane is very much involved in that, and Desiree and Diane are working together to get communications out, to get things enacted on the website. I work with Greg on getting the flash alert message out. So Greg actually, punches a button on the flash alert that says what it is we're doing. And I couldn't, and then how about our building principals and supervisors? Because what are they doing? They're trying to figure out if staff, how many staff may not be able to get to our schools because they're iced in or snowed in somewhere else. So they're working really hard to make sure that classes are covered and kids, are supervised and those types of things under those types of conditions. So there's really, just this all-out effort. Irma was saying, there are some of our families who may not have gotten, the messages. And so her staff are actually calling some of our families as our community outreach advocates are calling some families. Lori's trying to figure out, when are we gonna eat or not eat? And what am I gonna do, with that food and those types of things. So it takes a full-on team, all on to cause those events to happen. And so I just want to really publicly thank the team for all that they did over the course of this last week, because it really had every curveball that could possibly be thrown at it during the week. So thank you. And I think it's good to know, that we don't just kind of put our finger up in the air. Let's have that. So I think that may. Oh, and if you wanted to see, go back one. If you want to see Wes at his finest. Wes out there shoveling ice out of the parking lot to get it going. All right, that's the superintendent's report.
Awesome. Thank you. It looks like we have, up next is Desiree, with the SIA.
So this report is a little complicated, but what we were informed by ODE is that while we presented information to you guys in November about our integrated plan and our progress markers and our report card, that we had one component that we also needed to report on, which is these 4 questions that I answer in a report that I sent to ODE. So we're presenting those now to you officially so that we can say that we did it. I'm not going to read them to you, but I will do a quick summary. So you can go to the next slide. So the first narrative question they ask us to talk about, and this is connected to our student investment account. And if you'll remember, the student investment account is now kind of integrated into our integrated plan, which is why when we were presenting it to you all, we're trying to make the connections that they haven't quite at ODE made, because all those different funding streams have their own state reporting requirements, because they haven't quite integrated them yet or changed the laws that make them all one thing. So they still have all these separate components, even though we're treating them as all interconnected. So for the SIA, one of the questions they ask us is, what are things we've observed in terms of the things we're trying to implement with our SIA plan, and what changes are coming about? And for this narrative piece, we talked a lot about kind of what we were talking about at the start of today's meeting. As a district, we are focused on celebrating what's right. And what we are seeing as a shift is that shift in focus to finding what's good and really highlighting it, whether it's what's happening with students and their achievement, or what's happening in our individual buildings. A big shift with that has come is an increase in communication, because when you're trying to celebrate what's right, you want everyone to know about it. And so we've seen, and this is for the 22-23 school year, but last year, I hope you saw, and I know I saw, an increase in communication. We saw better newsletters coming out from the different, from the schools, from the departments. I know on the teaching and learning front, we were really active in trying to get communication out. We saw forums happening, asking for feedback from families. And with that, we saw an uptick in participation from our community. We saw more people attending those events, providing that feedback, participating in surveys, etc. And I hope it's continued really this year. We're seeing that kind of uptick in that communication. So that's been one of the biggest shifts that we've seen. And that really aligns with our strategic plan, which has been about, like, how do we bring the community in is to be part of that, that group, community learning together, right? Our second narrative question is about just what barriers or challenges do we experience, and that we want to make the state aware of. And for us this year and last year, that's really been a focus on our English language learners and making sure that we have the right systems in place to remove barriers to accessing the curriculum. That is coming in the form of a lot of different work, both the implementation and the working on of a teaching and learning framework for our ELD program. Irma and I this last year, and then we're continuing it this year, are working on what we really want our program model to look like. They're in the middle of an ELD adoption to get the right materials in front of kids. And we see a shift in really focusing on how do we improve how our students are learning English and becoming English English speakers. And so this year, this is from last year, but this year we've seen an increased focus for our administrators on setting their own goals around increasing those scores for our ELD students or our EL students, and really making sure our systems are supporting our language learners. Our third question is about engagement. How do we get people engaged in the work that we're doing? And as I said, with our first goal, we definitely have seen that uptick with our family, staff, and community partners. This is going both across the buildings as well as within specific programs. We're looking to really continue to build some of those specific community partnerships as well. And this is, I know the high school's been working on that with their different CTE programs, and how do we make sure that we are connecting in with our community stakeholders. And so that's something that we want to continue growing, but we definitely have seen an uptick with. And then with number 4, when we think about what's guided our choices and what we prioritize, what stands out. And last year, we really focused on that concept of aligning our systems to really address issues of equity, to make sure that all kids had access to our curriculum. And that really aligned to our strategic plan, which put equity at the focus and an equity lens. So it's really been the guiding force in the work we've been doing. And we're starting to see the benefits of those things, whether it's the curriculum we're adopting or the way we're reaching out to the community. We're seeing more of a systems approach to the work. And that is, as the early literacy grant talks about, they use the word curricular chaos. We are eliminating curricular chaos by aligning all of our arrows. So. And that is it. These are the official answers to the official questions that ODE asks. Any questions?
Richard, Heidi, any questions?
No, nothing here. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Desiree.
Thanks.
All right, I have a couple of just notes. Do you have anything else, Phil, or are you good? No. Okay, I have a couple of notes. The stuff coming up, just kind of on your radar screen. We'll be asking Dr. Rhodes to do a self-evaluation, and then we will be following up with a superintendent evaluation probably in March. This generally happens in February. Our site will happen in March. So just know that's coming. The policy rewrite is still in process.
Yeah, we'll bring our first presentation of that in February.
Okay, and their cabinet's been working, from what I understand in my meetings, been working through those a lot, so much appreciated. That's a lot of work to go through, so. I don't have anything else.
I do have a quick question that they can decline if they don't know. Can you tell me when graduation is? I just don't want to book over it. Sorry.
It's the second.
14th.
Is it the 14th? It always flexes right there, and so I'm just like.
I think it's the 14th.
Okay.
Wow, that's like this year.
It's very late.
Wow.
Hey, I see a lot of writing going on, so I don't feel so bad now. All right.
That's why we're getting started on the calendar.
With that is 7:14. I will go ahead and adjourn us. We will be having an executive session. Probably give us maybe what? 10 minutes? That work?
That works, 25 after then?
So let me read out the ORS 192.
You do that when you open the executive.
Okay, so you don't want to read into this record for that?
No.
Okay, alrighty.
Can you tell us how you're gonna do that for Richard and I?
I'm sorry, say that again, Heidi.
How will you be doing the executive session for Richard and I? How can we?
I think we're gonna have to phone you guys in probably.
You should receive an additional Zoom link, and then we'll be pulling up that Zoom and then projecting from here, as well as turning the camera there.
Oh, okay, so we're gonna use this room?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we chatted, we talked
Yeah.
about moving to the other room, but
Oh.
if we're gonna use this room, that'll work, so.
How are you sending the Zoom link? Is that gonna be an email, how will we get that link?
Greg?
Yeah. If not, you could just send them the link.
Yeah, I can do it. I'll resend it right now. Heidi, you should have already received it, but I can send it right now.
If by chance, Heidi, it doesn't go through at all, I will call you from my cell phone. So we'll make sure you're in there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.